The Crandall murder. In the serene village of West Edmeston, New York, nestled among the hills of the Unadilla Valley, a tragic fire broke out early on the morning of March 5, 1928, resulting in the complete destruction of one of the valley's most historic homes. This house, constructed in the early 1860s by Henry Edmeston Crandall, holds memories of a time when the Loomis gang, notorious for their criminal activities, roamed the nearby cedar swamps of 9 Mile Swamp, close to Waterville and North Brookfield, New York. Many from the older generation recall the pervasive fear that gripped the residents of this otherwise tranquil valley at the mere mention of the Loomis gang. The gang's extensive reach made it difficult to discern who was a member and who was not, leading to a climate of dread where no one felt safe. The gang thrived during the Civil War and continued to do so for several years afterward, until they were ultimately dismantled in the early 1870s. This occurred after a raid on their hideout, leading to the hanging of Plum Loomis and the scattering of the remaining members. Central figures in the gang included Mother Loomis, her daughter Cornelia, and several sons, who were joined by a large group of followers. They would target various farms, stealing livestock and goods, leaving the community paralyzed with fear and unwilling to act. Mr. Crandall himself had fallen victim to one of the gang's raids, losing valuable livestock. He bravely proposed to his neighbors that they confront the Loomis gang to reclaim their stolen property, but they were too afraid to join him. Mr. Crandall went alone, and upon entering the barn, he was confronted by Plum Loomis, who threatened him. Despite the danger, Mr. Crandall stood his ground and managed to retrieve his stolen animals, only to be met with Loomis's ominous warning that he would pay for his actions. Shortly after, Mr. Crandall's home was set ablaze. A new farmhouse was built to replace it, which tragically met the same fate in 1928. This house also became the site of the infamous Crandall murder, one of the most heinous crimes attributed to the Loomis gang. On the evening of December 7, 1865, under a beautiful starlit sky, Mr. Crandall had just completed his chores and was looking forward to a peaceful evening by the fire when he discovered that the kitchen table had been placed against the pantry door, with several sticks of wood stacked on it. When he entered the room, he encountered a man demanding money and government bonds. Mr. Crandall, refusing to comply, armed himself with a stick of wood and declared he would not go down without a fight. In the ensuing struggle, a second man appeared and shot Mr. Crandall, causing a serious injury. Despite his wounds, he fought back and managed to throw the attacker to the ground. Eventually, he proposed to get them the money they sought, and they let him go. As he left the room, he saw his wife watching the desperate struggle unfold. She urged him to give the intruders the money, and that was the last time he saw her alive. Instead of retrieving the money, he chose to get a stick he had kept by his bed. Upon his return, a hand with a gun reached through the partially open kitchen door and fired, missing him but causing chaos. Mr. Crandall fought back against the intruders, but in his moment of distraction, a third man entered from the cellar and struck him down with an axe handle. He was shot again, while Mrs. Crandall was tragically shot in the head. The intruders ransacked the house, searching for money and bonds that were cleverly hidden in the straw mattress. After several hours, Mr. Crandall regained consciousness and found his wife's lifeless body. He managed to gather the strength to walk nearly a mile to his brother's house, where he shared the harrowing details of the attack before collapsing. A search party was quickly organized, which discovered Mrs. Crandall's body and the evidence of a brutal struggle. Despite the large reward offered for information and the efforts of detectives and local officials, the criminals were never brought to justice. Ora Payne, a nearby resident, recounted her own encounters with the Loomis gang, recalling a time when 2 horses were stolen from her grandfather's farm. The gang's activities cast a long shadow over the community, leaving lasting scars. Written by Marion Maxon, daughter of Edmeston Crandall. Henry Crandall was born on April 17, 1800, in Brookfield, New York. He was the son of Henry and Polly Edmeston Crandall, who were originally from Rhode Island and Connecticut, respectively. They moved to Brookfield around 1798 and lived there until their passing. Henry and Polly had 10 children, all born in Brookfield except for one daughter born in Connecticut. Raised on a farm, Henry learned the importance of hard work early on. He lived with his parents until he was nearly 22, with limited opportunities for formal education. In 1822, he ventured to Chautauqua County, where he purchased a 200-acre farm, leaving it in the care of his brother while he returned to Brookfield. After nearly a year, he returned to Chautauqua County and sold the farm. On September 9, 1824, he married Prudence Kluke of Brookfield, and together they had 5 children, though only one survives today. Tragically, Mrs. Crandall passed away in 1833. In 1825, he bought 51¼ acres of land near West Edmeston, where he began his family life. He remarried on July 17, 1834, to Phoebe of Brookfield. Over the years, he expanded his landholdings to 468 acres of fertile land. In 1855, he moved back to Brookfield, where he enjoyed life with his wife until that fateful night in December 1865, when tragedy struck. Mr. Crandall was assaulted by men demanding money and bonds, leading to a violent confrontation that left him gravely injured and his wife dead. The robbers left empty-handed, failing to find the significant amount of money hidden away. Though there was an arrest in 1879, the guilty parties were never brought to justice, leaving the community to grapple with the loss and the lingering fear that followed. In 1867, Mr. Crandall married Marion Eve Manning and had 5 children together. He settled in Leonardsville before ultimately establishing his home in West Edmeston, where he became a successful farmer, contributing to the community he loved. Mr. Crandall was known for his perseverance and determination, qualities that helped him rise from humble beginnings to build a life of significance. This home would be located on Route 8 between West Edmeston and Hoxie Road, on or near Ellis Road to be exact.